Hey guys, welcome back to another Nerd Rant podcast episode.
We're back. Yeah. It's about time. Even though we do this every week.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, that would have been like 3 months ago when I came back from summer. After 3 months.
Then it would have been about time.
Yeah, but no.
Now it's not really about time, but still about time.
Yep.
Apparently
Anyway.
people have been loving Nerd Rant recently. Our stats have been saying so.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's fun doing it.
Anyways, what are we doing this episode, Seth? Or I guess more so, who are you, Seth?
I'm Seth. Hey,
Oh my gosh.
Guys, speaking of Seth is in the item shop, and I still can't just... I know we're not doing Fortnite today, but, like, I can't not... That's cool. I got a skin. It's like Summit 1G.
And I'm JJ, and I still don't have a skin, but that's fine.
But, yeah, this is Nerd Rant. I'm also Dr. Zombrin. Yeah.
I'm also Junior Wolf.
You said that.
No, I said I'm JJ.
You said Junior Wolf and JJ.
I don't think I did. But all right, moving on.
And what are we doing today, JJ?
Today we're going to be going over different editions of video games. Like how a video game can release and you could buy the base edition like a normal person for $70, which is still expensive. Or you can buy the deluxe edition, comes with some DLC. You can buy the ultimate edition, comes with everything for the game. Or you can buy the collector's edition that comes with actual physical objects to put on a shelf. Yeah. I think that's about it.
And on top of that, we're going to talk about the prices of them, the rewards. Is it worth it? We're going to talk about specific, and then we're also going to talk about pre-orders along with that, with like pre-ordering these editions. It's like, oh, new game. I'm going to pre-order this game I'm looking forward to. Is it worth pre-ordering the Ultimate Edition? And we're going to talk about specific games and how they quite up to our standards when it comes to pre-ordering and why it is a cautious thing to do pre-ordering. Yeah, that pretty much covers it. Anyway, catch you on the next one. That's everything.
That's it. That's the entire episode, guys. Have a nice day.
Anyway, so yeah, let's start with...
I don't even know if that's going to come across in the final edit.
Heard it.
People are screaming in the background.
I heard it. And I have you at like 30% volume.
Yeah. Anyway.
Let's start with the editions, because once we get the editions situated, then we can talk about pre-ordering said editions.
Yes. So
Simon?
I'm gonna go off of if you don't mind, I'm gonna spearhead this one here because
JJ?
I feel like most often story games have these editions, right?
Yeah.
And I've played my fair share of story games, right? So I'm gonna go off of one of my favorite games here, Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Okay.
It has a lot of additions and a lot of needless additions, right? So you have your base edition, the game came out for like $60 on release. And it was a long game, it was definitely, I'd say it was definitely worth the $60 having like, 40 to 60 hours of story.
And remember that, you listeners, because that's one thing I do want to talk about when we talk about these editions is the time played. So like the worthwhile amount per the editions.
And, I've spent 140 hours getting all of what's there. So it's definitely a game that you can dump time into, and it was fun all the way through.
Yeah.
Then, you could go up one step. You could get yourself the Gold Edition, which, is $100 instead of $60. But, you get yourself the season pass, you get yourself all of the story DLC that releases after the game, extra content, extra story, kind of like the epilogue of that character. And then you have your Ultimate Edition. That one was, how much? That was $120. And it came with that same season pass. It came with a remastered previous game from the series, plus a bunch of like gear and XP boosters in the game.
Okay.
And anything from there on are more so considered bundles, because this game released and came out with like 3 new bundles for the franchise. You got your Antiquity Pack, which is like the base editions of this game and the previous one. Then you have your Legendary Collection, which was this game and like 4 or 5 of the previous ones.
Yeah. Which one did you get? Did you say?
I have the Ultimate.
You have the Ultimate.
I have everything.
You have everything. I feel that. I love
Yeah.
when you have everything in a game. It's great.
So great. But yeah, and this is, I think it's still a bit excessive having this many editions. I think maybe one edition that's just the base and one edition that has all the DLC is really all you need, and leave like other cosmetic stuff as like separate microtransactions if you really need that there.
I think looking back at some games like Call of Duty, like having a season pass, right? And when you buy the editions, the Ultimate Edition comes with the season pass, or you can kind of pay for that later on, depending if you want it or not.
Yeah. I feel like that's a good compromise if you want to do editions, but more recently, the newest Assassin's Creed game had 2 editions, and all that came with was an extra quest line and a gear pack, and it was $20 more.
Oof. How big was the quest line?
The quest line took me maybe an hour and a half.
Oh.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like
Wasn't
much.
a big quest line.
That's
so,
rough.
was that worth the $20 more? Probably not, but I got myself the collector's edition of that game, which is the last thing to touch on here. A lot of story games will do this kind of like fan service thing, where they'll release an edition of the game that comes in like a very limited edition box that has it most of the time, like 90% of the time, will have a physical CD of the soundtrack, a physical art book with some concept arts and, you know, different places in the game. This one, not all of them come with this, but this one came with a map of the game. It doesn't have like all the locations and everything, but it is a map of like the city that you're in.
Yeah.
It came with I think it's like 9-inch statue of the character on some scenery, which I think that's the coolest part. It came with a pin that the character wears, and I think that's about it. Oh yeah, and the game's deluxe edition.
Okay.
And that was retail priced at $150.
That's not terrible.
It's not terrible. I think honestly, collector's editions are probably the best deal you're gonna get.
Sometimes. It all depends on what content's in the collector edition. Call of Duty, when I think collector edition for me, and the games that I play probably have the most memorable collector's editions. Almost every single Call of Duty has one. I think one of the newer ones, like 2019, you literally got like full on like really, really high quality night vision goggles. Black Ops 3 had a Juggernaut like mini fridge. Black Ops 2 came with the supply drop, like you get like and in it you actually had an RX whatever it was called in that game, like one of the drivable car explosions that you can drive around.
Also I forgot to mention the Steelbook. They almost always like 100% of the time come with the Steelbook
for collection books.
Which I want to note on this. Steelbooks, after deluxe editions are like stop being produced, like give them a year, Steelbooks will be worth like 50 if not 80% of the price of the deluxe edition. Because I went to buy a couple Steelbooks recently for some of my favorite games, and they are priced, like the one that was 2016 when it came out, was priced at $60. Today, this is a 2016 game, and it's priced at $60. That's the base price of a full game today. And then the more limited one that I got was like, what? $150 was the cheapest I could find. And the game itself was $60.
Okay.
And that's just the Steelbook.
Without the game or just...
Without the game.
Dang.
Yeah. Those things can be pricey.
Crazy. They are pretty cool, though.
Yeah. But I've looked at some other collector's editions as well, like the one for Dishonored, another one of my favorite games, comes with the mask that the character wears in the game. So that's pretty cool, and it is fully wearable and everything.
Yep.
There is... Gosh, I'm trying to think here. What's another good one that's like not just a statue of the character?
I don't know, like I said, the games that I play, I don't really have collector editions. So Call of Duty is the big one. There is a few that I'm thinking of, but they're not good, and I want to talk about them when we get to the pre-order section.
Okay. I'm gonna Google some collector's editions here.
All right. I'm gonna start talking about some content then, like for the editions and like the higher ones. So one game that I think of, I haven't played like any of this, but my friend told me about this, and he literally talked to me about this for like 5 hours straight. Witcher 3, and how it probably, and I have to agree, it probably has the best content per like dollar, like whatever you want to say, ever for DLC. The DLC, so I did actually buy the complete edition. There's only 2 editions. There's standard, and then there's complete edition for Witcher 3, which comes with, I want to say 1 or 2 areas, which when I looked at it, I'm like, oh, that's a pretty big world. That's like everything, right? That's all the, like, no, that's just the 1 out of like the 5 worlds, like places that you can visit, like cities. I'm like, oh, this is everything. No, just 1. It adds a whole new playing mechanic of like mutations later on. But the big thing is, and I know I just talked to you about this, just how big New Game Plus was. And for people that don't know it, like, because I obviously don't play story games, especially I don't buy the big one, right? So I just beat Spider-Man Remaster, and it had New Game Plus, which you can replay. You just have all your stuff. For Witcher 3, though, it's the same thing, right? You have your stats and all that kind of stuff, but it actually adds on to it. So the game starts at a higher difficulty, and you can get, like, new stuff, or you can get better stuff. So, like, Steel Sword of the Viper, right? Like, you can get it really early on, and it's kind of crap, but when you play New Game Plus, well, now it's way better. It has an extra bonus, does more damage, stuff like that, and there's even new quests and stuff like that. Like, it literally is bigger than the first game on top of the first game. And it's just, I think it was like $10, $15.
Yeah, no, I just bought it for $20. It was on sale, the complete edition, so.
It's insane. It literally, and you get that plus the other one, you literally over double your amount of game time on top of the original game, which is already at like, I want to say like 70 hours. Yeah. For this, because the amount of side quests and how unique, like, it's just great, and more games need that, because then we see games like Spider-Man, which we'll talk about more later with their edition. Or One Piece Odyssey.
I want to point out this deluxe edition I found here quick. This is the deluxe edition for Borderlands 3, which I didn't even know this existed, but I googled it, and holy chamomile, this is intense. So it gives you 5 posters, 1 for each of the main characters and 1 for the villains. It gives you what looks like a map of like all the different planets, I'm thinking, with like a bunch of notes and stuff that I can't necessarily read. It gives you a box that looks like one of the chests in the game that contains all of the stuff here. You get 4 keychains, each of them being different items and references to the game, and you get, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 metal, like little D&D size figures of each of the characters and some of the villains and side characters. And then you also get a giant rocket ship. Like, this thing is like 50% of the size of this box. That's like their sanctuary. Now, I don't know how much this was at retail. It's currently $369 on Amazon.
Makes sense.
I assume retail
maybe,
was probably
I want to say
less.
like $2.
Yeah, maybe $200.
I see a lot of collector editions.
Is actually a great collector's edition.
Even now, though, that still might almost be worth it.
Yeah. Like, that is intense.
That is a lot, like 5.
And then on top of that, you would also get like the complete version of the game.
Yeah.
With all of the DLC, which I believe on launch that was valued at like $120, $150.
So yeah, lots of content.
Yeah.
Lots of things. I want to say a game I want to compare The Witcher 3 to, DLC, and a game that I've played and know and kind of disappointed in, is One Piece Odyssey. I think the game itself's great. It's fun, all that kind of stuff. But here, let me pull up. I didn't get the premium edition, but you pretty much just got like some berries, which is in-game currency, and you got like an outfit. That's about it.
And how much more was it?
I'm looking here. It's on sale, the Deluxe edition, but it's like $85.
Bruh.
And yeah, you just get the Sniper King outfit, Adventure Expansion Pack, and 100,000 berries. Which, to be fair, 100,000 berries is a lot. Like, I've gotten the whole 25+% in the game, and that's more than I've like collected completely, but not worth more real life money.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because like the game itself, the whole point is it's very like linear. You go through specific ones, you don't go back. It's not open world, something like that, like Witcher. But we look at like certain games and DLC, and that's, I feel like, is a lot of DLC nowadays. It's like, oh, start with this extra map in Call of Duty. Start with this extra racetrack in a racing game. Plus, here's an extra skin or two, and here's some in-game currency. There you go. Now give us an extra $20, $30. And it's like, because it used to be like The Witcher 3, because Witcher 3 is pretty old at this point. I want to say 2015.
I mean, it depends on how far back we're going to look, because it used to be there are no multiple editions, you just buy the DLC.
But yeah,
because like if you go far back as one of the games I played a lot as a kid, Fable 3, that game had a lot of DLC, and I'm talking like 30, 40 different DLCs. Now, granted, a lot of them were just like different weapons in the game, but each weapon evolved through the story. It would change its look, it would change its attacks, like all through the story. So you could play the game again, and that weapon would be different. So they were worth the money. I think they were like $2 or $3 each.
Yeah, it's like Call of Duty Black Ops 2 had like 15, 20, 30 camos, but they're only like $1, $2, and you could use it on every single gun, and they're pretty cool, most of them.
And now some of these were quests, but the price didn't really go up for those quests. Like I think it was maybe $5 at most for the ones that were quests, and I'd say like it's definitely a way to do it, but I don't think it'd make much sense to have another version of the game that came with everything in that case, because that's a lot to do, and it just doesn't seem like something that'd be worth the money, because you're never going to have time to use all those weapons.
Yeah.
So, like, back then, they didn't have these versions because that just wasn't the market. Then you jump to, like, 2010 to 2015. Now, all of the games are doing multiple editions, whether or not they have valid DLC or not.
I think it's also, with back then, just looking at the way they did extra like money, like it's almost like now, right, where we have all the microtransactions after purchase, small, but like a lot of them, that's kind of like how it was. And then it's like, okay, so we could do that, or we could do a big DLC patch for $15. Like Call of Duty did like 3 or 4 big packs throughout its life cycle each year, which is that's extra $45, $60, so it's almost doubles the price, but it doubles the amount of maps almost. Lots of new maps, some remaster maps, some new guns, camos, etc., some zombie content if that's a thing. And it doubles it. But then, now, again, we're looking at, like, we kind of talked about this a little bit with our mobile episode. It's just, then it kind of went to a little bit more free-to-play and kind of went back, I guess, almost to that. Here's the base game. It's free, or it's, even if it's expensive, it's not as expensive as it could be as like an Ultimate Edition. Yeah. But then we're going to throw 100 things you can buy.
No, because like I said at first, like that Assassin's Creed Odyssey Season Pass, that adds almost like 20 to 35 hours of gameplay. And it's like, you could get it for like maybe $30.
Yeah.
So like, that's a really good deal and adds a lot to it. But then you have the next edition up that adds a bunch of microtransaction stuff that you don't really need.
Just some cosmetics or something that don't do much. It's like, I'm not going to spend my extra money for it. Now, say that the cosmetics did something else, I'm not saying like in game, but say that you got cosmetics, say Assassin's Creed, right? Say that you could use these cosmetics in like 3 or 4 different Assassin's Creed games. That might open it up, but I'm guessing that's not how it works.
Yeah, no.
It's like it's per game, and it's just like that's the other thing, right? It's hard when you get like cosmetic stuff like that. Like Fortnite, I want to keep playing, so when I spend money on that, cool. Call of Duty, it's getting a little bit better. The cosmetics now last for 2 Call of Duties, which are like the same.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean,
but then when we look at the other Call of Duties, except this year, it's like I'm spending money and cosmetics for this game, and once I'm done, I'm not gonna like use it again.
Mm-hmm. I mean, let's look here at what like Fortnite is trying to do though. Like it seems that right now they're trying to unify their games so that you can use like all of your Rocket League cosmetics in the new Fortnite racing mode, and you can already use all of your Fortnite cosmetics in creative and save the world. So what if like, you know how Call of Duty has their, you know, launcher thing with multiple inside of it?
Mm-hmm.
What if it's a marketplace there that you buy a cosmetic in, and it does allow you to transfer it to every game?
That's what I'm saying. Like Fortnite's a good example because it's worthwhile. You can use it in multiple games practically, like where the racing and all these other game modes come out. It's gonna be worthwhile. But we look at other games like Assassin's Creed and Call of Duty. Those types of cosmetics aren't lasting enough. Sure, Odyssey, right? You can buy cosmetics in that with real money, but you can replay that a lot. Call of Duty, you're probably going to buy another Call of Duty in a year, and that cosmetic's going to be useless. That's like literally, you bought 3 packs, and you spent enough money to buy a whole new game, and you're not going to use it in a year. Like, you can't use it. Now, when Warzone was a thing, you can all use it in Warzone, 2019, Cold War, and Vanguard, but now Warzone 2 is a thing, so now all those are locked to their respective Call of Duties, and it's just like...
Yeah. I think these kinds of launchers are only going to make this kind of thing easier, and I'm hoping that these companies will see how much more value it will bring to these cosmetics if they do this kind of thing. Like, Assassin's Creed is launching their own launcher soon, Assassin's Creed Infinity or whatever is its code name.
Yeah.
And you're supposedly, like, it's a hub for between all the games. You'll play each individual story through there, and then the real world will be through the hub. Okay. And I'm assuming that somehow they're going to work in their Animus shop or whatever. But I could definitely see them trying to add in, like, here you can buy the robes of this assassin, and it can be used in all of these different games.
I think that's the best. I think this would help them, right? Because then you'd be more willing. And I really hope we see some really, really good numbers with this Call of Duty with microtransactions. Not that I want them to be making money, but that they see that it's worthwhile to have DLC carry over to multiple years and different Call of Duties, that they will do it to the point where we can get Modern Warfare DLC, like imagine a Captain Price skin or Ghost, in a Treyarch game, like Woods and Mason, big characters from those respective worlds, kind of like we had Captain Price and Blackout. That's like the only time we don't see it, but if we see it good enough here, maybe we can see it more, and I would love to get certain camos, skins, stuff like that, because then it just makes it worthwhile. Because why the hell would I buy a Godzilla skin for Vanguard? I don't want to play Vanguard, but if it counts for Cold War and next year's Treyarch game, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna go play Vanguard and buy it. You know what I mean? Like it
definitely
shows.
Brings new value to the games that people might not care about, because like in every franchise, there's going to be that game that people are like, oh, well, that one wasn't that great. But if you're giving them free stuff for that game because they bought something elsewhere, or encouraging them to go play that game so that they can get free stuff for the game they like, then that's going to bring in new players. It's going to promote that game, bring up its numbers, and in the end, make them more money.
Again, let's look at the Fortnite stuff. I don't like Rocket League, but what if I really like this racing mode? And what if not only this racing mode, but what if this finally gives us the ability to customize cars, but it's with Rocket League camos or something? I might go play Rocket League to unlock a camo for my Fortnite car. Play another game because I can unlock it other places.
Yeah.
it gives more value. If it wasn't for that, I'm not going to play it for just the racing mode, but if it affects VR and all this whole web of, cosmetics.
It gives players a lot more incentive to do things they wouldn't at first be willing to do. And I think that's something that the gaming space has just needed a while, because think of all these Call of Duty games that people have just cast away. Imagine if they could come in, be like, I already have all of these cosmetics that I bought in the last game, and this game's actually good.
Yeah.
It would help people see the space in a better light, especially with microtransactions.
Yeah. Because that's honestly what that's what editions are most of the time nowadays. They are just microtransaction, just at launch. I think a perfect example would be, let's check out what was let's look up Spider-Man 2 and let's see what the additions are and what it says it gives. Pulling it up on my PlayStation app.
I think there was 2 editions to that, right?
Yeah. Because I even went to a guy at the store and it's like, hey, I saw this. What exactly is it? Because I remember with 2018, I think is when it came out. It had like 3 DLC. Obviously, you didn't get it at launch because they weren't out, but they slowly came out, and you got access to it right away, I think. So you have the standard edition for $70, the Golden Deluxe, which is $80, so an extra $10. You get Spider-Man 2. You get 5 unique suits for Miles, 5 unique suits for Peter, additional photo mode items, and you get to start with 5 skill points. And early unlock suits and gadgets.
That's so all that is time savers and cosmetics. No actual
like 5 skill
story
points,
DLC.
Like if it was 2018, I just would only have to get to level 55 and I can unlock everything. Like, cool. If I like the game enough, though, I want to keep playing. So is it really worth just to spend the money when I'm gonna keep playing it?
Yeah, it's really just something for like the super fans that are like, oh yeah, I want to have those really cool suits from comic XYZ,
Or just having the deluxe edition because it looks cooler. But in
now,
reality,
it's one thing if you buy the collector's edition, because I could very much see that being worth it, having, physical items and, things you can actually display and be like, I am a true fan of this game. And then
like
it
Call
just
of
comes
Duty, right?
with
like
the
having
deluxe.
a ray gun, mini fridge, supply drop. That's cool. Like, because you're a big fan. Like, decorate your room with Call of Duty items. But these editions are just microtransactions at launch.
Yeah, like here, let me see the collector's edition. For Spider-Man 2, $229. It comes with a figure of Spider-Man and Miles fighting Venom. I think it's like almost a foot tall figure. It's big.
Yeah, I've heard that one's pretty big.
Does it have anything else? Yeah, you have your digital game, you have your steelbook, and then the deluxe edition content. That's it.
Oof.
So wait, so you're telling me for $70 less, I got more in my deluxe edition bundle?
What do you mean? I thought it said it got the deluxe edition.
No, in our collectors. That's what I meant. In my Assassin's Creed Collector's Edition bundle.
Oh.
Because I got a physical art book, physical soundtrack, the steelbook, the figure, and a pin, and the deluxe game. And the box definitely looked cooler than this one. But this one is $70 more. And
Statue
has
must be pretty cool.
3 or 4 items less.
Statue must be pretty cool. I was talking to someone and they said they were playing it, right? They're playing Spider-Man 2 right now. And they're enjoying it. And I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't think I'm gonna buy it until it's on like a big sale, like 50% off or something. Because this is probably for price-wise, right? Content-wise, actually playing it, probably great, right? With multiple Spider-Man, we have the whole addition to the map. But when we actually look at like, content, like time-wise, this is probably the biggest letdown of the year. We look at Baldur's Gate, right? it's D&D. So how infinite can you play that, right?
Yeah.
We look at, what's another big one? Breath of the Wild, not Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. That has how many ways, like different weapons and stuff you can collect, the Korok seeds. That had 100+ hours. What's another big one? Hogwarts Legacy. You had 3 different houses you could choose, which is 3 different playthroughs. This is like, I'm not too sure, at most 2, but when each playthrough's taken around 9 hours.
So I'm looking at some of these other collector's editions, and they're actually pretty cool. Like the newest Halo game came with like the alien sword, like an actual alien sword, and one of the guns, and 2 lanyards, steelbook, 5 cool. patches.
It's just money, which I don't have.
Yeah, there's so many cool ones out there. It's so underwhelming to see the ones that don't put an effort.
Do you know what sucks about them being so cool? The fact that we didn't get them at launch, and now if we wanted to get that, how much more expensive they are because they're a collector.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the one for Hogwarts Legacy right now. It's $261 on Amazon, and I'm fairly certain I saw it for like
probably 150
on launch. So yeah,
it's like, here, let's see how much do you think, I'm gonna go on Amazon, how much do you think the Juggernaut fridge is? Just the fridge.
$70. Do 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 do. Are you done?
Oh, is that the actual? No, that is it. That is. Oof, I'm getting very mixed. I'm getting Coca-Cola, Fanta, and I'm getting a phone charger.
Let's see. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Juggernaut Edition mini fridge only. 4,500 US dollars. I don't think that's accurate. Here, this $650. I mean, that's less, but still a lot.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah. I'm just on eBay right now.
Okay. Yeah, Amazon, not seeing it.
2 shelves for the fridge. Fridge not included.
How much?
14.
Dang.
Juggernaut fridge, $850, $650.
All right, so at least $500 for just the fridge and not the game included with all the DLC, which probably happened when it came out. With one of the best zombie DLC ever.
Mm-hmm. And keep in mind, most of these like novelty fridges don't even run really well.
No, they're probably that's probably like the Fortnite mini fridge.
Yeah.
It's like just a cheapo. But it's because it's a collector, right? Like it's just crazy and it sucks if you want to get anything like that now.
Mm-hmm.
Anything, what else do we want to talk about? Talk about the editions.
Sony had crap collector's editions in general, because even the one for Horizon is just the steelbook, a statue, and cosmetics. So it might just be Sony is slacking on their collector's editions.
I know, there's another collector edition of a pretty big game that kind of flopped. I want to say, because I saw it earlier, and that's where I got the idea from, of like, don't pre-order. I'm like, there is a game, and maybe we can just start getting into the pre-order and like why it's kind of and this right here is kind of opening up that idea of why you should be hesitant on pre-ordering like these big ones. Would you say Fallout's a pretty big game series?
Yeah.
You said people like it. Would you say people like Fallout 76?
No.
Do you think people knew that at launch?
No,
because it didn't come out yet. You can't disappoint because it hasn't been out yet. And this was after Fallout 4, a pretty big game. Now we look at the collector edition, it's pretty cool. You get this really cool mask, and you had like this duffel bag with like this heavy like leather, whatever, and it looked really cool. And apparently, somebody got like this polyester type material, like you get like for a poncho for their bag, instead of like this heavy duty like thick leather. And they're like, this can't be right. So they messaged them, and you know what they said? Oh, it's cheaper, so we're not gonna make it anymore. We're gonna make it with the cheaper plastic.
Bruh.
For the collector edition. With all the other things, they have this cool mask for one of the characters, and then plastic bag.
Brilliant.
And we see that, and we're just seeing, like, content that even games that have a lot of hype, we have to be cautious about. Like Spider-Man 2. Again, I'm not saying the game's bad. It's just content-wise, it's very lackluster for what we thought we were going to get.
Like, people are beating it in under 10 hours.
Like,
and
I
that's
looked,
not
and that's
speedrunning.
Yeah, I looked. If you're a speedrunner, you can probably beat it in like 7-8 hours. Like, you can complete the entire game, all the DLC with Miles, Platinum Trophy, like 100% everything, quicker than beating base game without all the extra DLC like Platinum Trophy, the first one. But then you have New Game Plus with Ultimate, which is a whole other trophy, like, which would double that.
The thing that shocks me here, and I feel like this is worth noting, is Assassin's Creed saw that this game that they put out most recently is significantly shorter than most games coming out today. Finishing at 100% was 25 hours. So you know what they did? They released it for $50 base price. $50, because they were like, we're sorry guys, this game isn't as long as we'd liked it to have been, but we didn't want to draw out the story and disappoint the fans. So here's the game for a little bit cheaper. Here's Spider-Man now coming out with a game that is like 10 hours shorter than that and releasing for like premium AAA game price.
And how long has it been in development? Because Spider-Man Miles Morales wasn't actually like, probably didn't have its own team because it was supposed to be a DLC, right? So they were probably working on Spider-Man 2 shortly after that, maybe a remaster team. For, what is this, 5 years?
A long dang time.
I'm going to round that down to 4 because maybe they were working on Miles Morales and remastering stuff. So close to 4 years, and we got this.
Yeah.
And we got 9 hour story. It's like, come on.
See, I think I've only ever pre-ordered like 2 games. Well, one of them was me, one of them was not me. I pre-ordered Stray because I knew that game was going to be good, and they were open and upfront about the fact that it was short. And I was like, okay, well, I'll pre-order it. It's like a 15% discount if I do, so I might as well. I pre-ordered that game, was greatly pleased with it. Great game. And the other game, technically my father pre-ordered it, but I kind of nudged him to, was Anthem. Back when they were advertising it all over before it came out, like the really cool suits and like, oh, this is going to be a cool mech game. You're going to be like Iron Man flying all over this open world. And it looked awesome. But you could pre-order it for full price. And I was like, hey, Dad, this game looks cool, doesn't it? He was like, yeah. And he pre-ordered it. Then a couple days after it came out, people had already 100%ed it. And we were like, this game really ain't that great.
That's rough.
Yeah.
I've only pre-ordered one game, and I don't regret it. I don't play the game. I actually gave away the disc for the game. It was Modern Warfare 2019. I don't regret it because overall, the current Call of Duty I don't like, but I still like the franchise as a whole. I just want, there needs to be some changes, and hopefully Microsoft will do that. But this is my first time that I can play the full year cycle, right? Like, I pre-ordered it, I was able to play the beta, play the alpha, then I played the full game day one. And I got a poster, which is still hanging up over there in my room. So I think it was worth it, not to mention on PlayStation, right, for Call of Duty, you get stuff early. So I got like an extra week of the beta, this and that. But now, right, looking at the beta and what the game is now after that, it hasn't been great for Call of Duty. And I keep telling people, like I told Jaden, he should not have pre-ordered Modern Warfare 2022. He did. And I never see him play it. And it's because now so many games just aren't finished. Here's a great game of seeing that probably was a mistake to pre-order and you should have waited. what was the name for the Star Wars game this year?
Jedi Survivor?
Jedi Survivor. That didn't do very well performance-wise day one.
Did? Oh, you mean like hardware performance?
Yeah. And it's like, gameplay it probably was fine, but was it worth like pre-ordering and then having to wait for updates and then deleting and then having to re-download it later so your device can like
I'll say this specifically for the purpose of you get extra content if you pre-order, that can make it worth it. But in terms of like, you did have to wait a week or two before it was stable. That was kind of a letdown.
Yeah, and then that kills the hype, right? Because then even when you do pre-order it, it's like, well, I don't get to play it day one. It's like, oh, not ready yet. 2 weeks go by. Now it's ready. Now there's an update to stabilize. Kind of like a Fortnite season, right? With you being on PC, new Fortnite season drops. You don't get to enjoy it until like a week later when all the sweats and like it stabilizes on PC, right? Like it kind of kills the hype of the announcement of this is the day, everyone's waiting, countdown. Like Spider-Man 2, I was scrolling on Twitter and I saw the announcement at like 1 a.m. Hey, it's live, like you can go buy it now. But when the game's so disappointing or it doesn't run, that kills the hype. I'm trying to think of other games, because that's happened a few times this year, right? Where the game kind of took a while to... Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk's a good example.
Took a long time. I'd say
that's probably more so than Jedi.
Yeah, I'd say Cyberpunk was very disappointing to fans in terms of performance. Definitely, lots of bugs.
It was memed for months about bugs, like bugs. Cyberpunk,
and even though they recently like fixed it, and now fans are praising it to high heaven because it's like so amazing now, it still definitely impacted the company, and fans are less trusting of just pre-orders in general now because of what that game did.
Another game I just remembered, Security Breach. That didn't do very well performance-wise. Now, with the Ruin DLC, which was for free, which is very nice, it also stabilized it. But we're just seeing a pattern here with how many times that these games just aren't ready at launch. So why would I spend a full $60, $70 on a game when I can wait for it to be stabilized and get it at a discount because I literally can't play it until then? Yeah. Like some of these games. And it sucks because then and then this is kind of where the question is with like the pre-orders, right? And the editions. If the game itself isn't good, is it really worth to spend it on some of these extra DLC if the game isn't actually that good or stable? Because some games also just aren't good, but a lot of the time it's been stable. Like it's just not complete. Like, oh, we're missing a part of the map, we're missing a feature, we're missing story, something like that. It feels like every game is missing something, whether that be performance or content, and it's starting to get annoying.
Yeah, it's just a point in the industry where you have to be very careful about trusting these things. Like I said earlier, like you do sometimes get additional content, but whether or not that's actually going to be good, whether or not you'll be able to use it day one, like there's a lot of catches to this kind of thing, and you can't trust a lot of the companies that just say things.
And then it's hard because like we saw today, right? With Spider-Man, it's like even a game like a sequel to a big game like Fallout 76, Spider-Man 2, to a pretty big game, remaster Miles Morales, Fallout 4, you can't just instantly assume that that studio is going to make another good game. Call of Duty is a great example. Look at all these fun games that did pretty dang well. Then we have Vanguard and Modern Warfare 2022. It's not great numbers. Like, it's crazy. And like you said, with all this, though it's annoying, there's this subtlety to it all of trust. Of now I'm losing trust in even my favorite developers if I really want to pay attention. Now, no matter what, it's very rare that I want to buy a game day one. And now, here's another example I just thought of now I have to be careful. Minecraft's a pretty big game, right? And Dungeons did great. we all thought Legends was going to do fine and be fun. Well, now I'm going to be cautious about the next Minecraft spinoff. Is it going to flop and die in a week?
Yeah.
And now I just have to be kind of skeptical of everything now about buying it.
Yeah, it just goes to show that if you don't put in the right kind of effort to your game, it's not going to be. Like, how many people waited how long for Security Breach to come out? We waited, what, an extra... It was set to come out 2020 at first. So what, it was an extra 2 years?
Was it last year or was it 2021?
I think it would have been the end of 2021 at least.
Yeah, I want to say around then.
But we waited a long time for that game.
But I remember watching MatPat play, and I want to say 4 years and like $15 or something crazy.
And the thing I remember I kept hearing was, as long as it comes out good, as long as it's a good game, we don't care how long we wait. And it came out, and it had some bugs, but the story was good, and the gameplay was fun, you know? It's not your typical FNAF game, but it was a well-made game with some struggles, but they fixed them quickly as well. They were timely about it. And then, as an extra apology, they released a full-on story DLC for free.
Yeah.
So, like, that is what we'd like to see from our developers, because now we trust that, one, they learn from their mistakes, and two, if anything happens like this in the future, they're going to well compensate us for it.
Like you said, like DLC, like they accept that they were wrong. Like they kind of messed up, they goofed up a bit with the performance issues. Well, let's fix them even more. Here's an extra patch for free, and here's a whole like extra. How many hours of content was it? I didn't see any because I'm playing Security Breach.
It was a good amount of hours. I don't know
exactly
like
almost
how long,
like a whole new thing. Like it
was.
I
think it was like
big.
Maybe half the size of the original game, so maybe like 5 hours.
What does that say about me for playing 5 hours and like a third of the way?
I don't know, bro.
But I feel like that's another thing. When this kind of stuff happens, it just happens and the developers don't say anything. Or it's like, hey guys, hope we're enjoying the new game. And it's like, literally, Minecraft, Minecon, right? Like, they're saying something, hope you're enjoying the new updates to Legends, you know, for the community feedback. But they're not seeing the community feedback. They need to acknowledge. And we understand that it's hard. And especially half the time, most of these developers aren't at fault. It's the bigger corporation trying to just shove the game out. So if they finish it and it's a little iffy and they say, hey, sorry, we're going to get a patch out in the next week or two to fix this specific this issue of stability, we'll be happy because they're communicating. But nobody does that.
Yeah.
Sad.
I feel like these kinds of episodes always end with us like being like, get your crap together, gaming. Like
it is, and it's just the whole, all of media right now is just kind of at a rough point. Like gaming, movies, like we just saw the worker strike. You know, we look at streaming, and Disney's kind of a little rough. You know, all these studios, just look at what happened with Unity we talked about the other week. Like, even not just game developers, but game engines have to get their act together.
Yeah, it's
like everything. Like, we look at Twitch and Unity, like, these CEOs just don't know what they're doing. YouTube is switching up.
Yeah.
With the
things
drama
just
with
seem to be
Wolf,
falling apart.
Yeah, everywhere is just kind of struggling. Like, I love Fortnite, and I think there's a whole other problem. And I don't think Fortnite's dying or Epic Games is dying, but they're definitely going through the rough patch with having to let off employees and, you know, Donald stepping down. Not quitting, stepping down, but, like, that's a big change. That's a big part of the community that's now switching up a bit.
Yeah.
Everyone's just kind of going through, like, YouTube with the drama with Sniper Wolf. What do you think have you seen the new UI? It's new-ish, right? Like, weak?
Yeah.
What do you think? Good? Bad?
Yeah.
I have to get used to it. It's weird opening up YouTube and seeing a play, like, bar thing.
Yeah.
And it's just, everyone's just kind of going through some changes. Some good, some bad.
Okay.
Most of it, they don't know what the hell they're doing, and then we have to just sit there and be like, okay, can we like get a good product now?
Yeah. One quick thing I do want to mention with another pre-order fail, I guess you'd call it, is Alan Wake 2 is coming out soon. You know, that's a pre-order game for $60 base, $80 deluxe. And as, you know, things usually go, they can't get the specs, like the minimum spec numbers for the game until, you know, a certain point in, you know, their release schedule. And those just came out, and people are upset now because the minimum specs you need to play it on PC are significantly higher than a lot of the games have been recently. And people have pre-ordered this game, and now they're canceling their pre-orders because their systems just aren't going to be able to handle that.
Wolf.
And luckily, you know, they have the opportunity to cancel these pre-orders, but like, what if somebody doesn't see these numbers? Like, then they're going to try and run this game that they need a OP system for, and it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I think that kind of sucks, like, that you literally can't play it. What do you do there? And then it's like, you can watch or get and I think, right, luckily that's where the consoles are kind of coming in play right now, with some stuff like that. They're not going to have that issue because they're the best, right? If you have a PS5 or Xbox Series S or X, you can play any game that's coming out if it's on that platform.
You are going to be able to run it. Your specs are not going to be an issue. If anything, the game's performance is optimized poorly, and that's something that can be fixed.
And that's something that we've
cost.
seen, that, you know, we get some hot fixes, some patches, and it gets fixed. Sometimes slower, sometimes faster, but like, you're going to be able to play it. You don't have to worry about having to upgrade a graphics card for how much money to be able to run it.
Yeah.
So we talked, you know, some games are better. If it worked, if the game was stable and we had constant DLC like The Witcher, would you rather like having like a whole new world, like having 100 hours of gameplay almost extra? Would you rather have additions, or would you rather have the DLC like Call of Duty, where you get the extra campaign mission, you get the map packs for $15, but it's like split up? So say,
honestly, I think I'd have additions, because I think it is good to be upfront with what you're going to do. And even if it's just in the form of, okay, you have the season pass, but it's not ready at launch yet, we still have some more fine-tuning to do. It's good to know what you will be getting instead of having to wait to see if that bundle will come out and if it's worth it. Because then, you know, I could spend 60 or I could spend, you know, 80, 90 and save a little bit, but know what I have coming.
Yeah, I always thought it was kind of, if you're going to like the game, I always thought it was better to get this season pass with all the DLC packs for Call of Duty, because you kind of save some money, right? Like, it's a little bit cheaper. You get a little bit of extra bonuses too, because it's the season pass.
Yeah.
And you just kind of get it. You don't have to worry about waiting. Because I think that's a big thing, right? Because like we said, we talked a little bit about microtransactions and just how these studios are going about it. It's kind of been downhill. We're kind of going back to the old days, like you said, like with Fable, like just kind of throwing like 50 different things at you that you can buy. But I don't know which one is like the best or gives more bang for your buck, because it all depends.
One thing I can be sure about is I think collector's editions should stay forever. I think those are
absolutely.
Those are
even if
surefire sales.
Even if they're
absolutely
worse than others, right? Like even if it's the Spider-Man 2 versus your Assassin's Creed game.
Yes.
It's worth it. Like, if
you're
you
giving
like
those
Spider-Man
fans
2,
a physical item that they get to keep in their house or wherever they choose to keep it to show that they are a fan. You're giving them all of the content in your game, and you're giving them like that steelbook case to make sure that game stays in prime condition. You know, it's like, it's definitely the best deal you're going to get on something like that, and I think that's why it has been so successful in the past.
Especially nowadays, with where we're talking about with like digital games, like having a physical item, because nowadays people just aren't buying the game like physically, right? So I'm just gonna buy the digital and this and that. At least now it will give users that want it a pretty much a permanent use, permanent way to get the physical copy, right? Because eventually we might only go to digital. But if the collector's editions stay, which I think they will, even when we go to digital, you'll still be able to get the steelbook. They won't have to mass produce, thousands and thousands of the copy of the physical game because it's just for the collector edition, which they're definitely making money on. And then you have a cool statue or fridge or ray gun or something cool that you can like hang out. Like you look at my room, right? I have my pop figures, I have my shot glasses, my sign, Dreamcatcher. I have all this fun trinket stuff, my TARDIS. I would love to be able to decorate it with stuff that I like for my games.
Yeah. Companies need to realize what people are looking for, and there are ways to optimize that to make them money, but they have to be willing to try something that they haven't tried before. They have to be willing to take risks that don't guarantee them bank.
Yeah.
It involves some change, but it's something that I think would definitely bring the whole gaming sphere up.
Bring this gaming sphere up, but I also think long-term, this probably would make them more money. If they are giving us, even if it's not crazy Witcher 3 DLC, if they're like telling us we will be willing to spend more money to pre-order, to get an extra like basic DLC with a deluxe edition. If you tell us and you hear what we want in our DLC, we don't just want microtransactions, some cosmetics. Do you think that's going to happen?
Probably not.
I think, again, I don't know. This is like the 5th episode we've talked about this, and it's going to be like the 5th time I say it. Right now is a great time to see, with Call of Duty having stuff go over, with your Assassin's Creed HQ, with the Fortnite HQ. I think we're going to see in a few years after all this stuff comes out where it goes. And I'm really looking forward to like keep doing the podcast or continue the podcast when we run out of ideas and restart in 5 years after we get some time with all this stuff and see how gaming and media is going to change. Because I really do think in like, I'd say like 2030, it's going to be completely different.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And I mean, we have no other choice but to wait and see, but at least we can cross our fingers and hope that some of these things come to fruition.
Yep. Anything else you want to say?
No, I think that does it.
Yeah. Do we want to do a FNAF episode when that comes out in like, what is it, soon, right?
Oh yeah, probably. 27th is when it comes out, and I'm seeing it day 1. I guess it comes out the 26th. Even though release dates everywhere have said 27th, I'm going to a theater to see it the 26th. So, like...
Those are the first shows. Almost every movie has that. They're not, like, as public, because there's only, like, 1 or 2 showings.
Yeah. But I'm going to the 26th. Oh, that's right.
Do we want to do a Hunger Games for Ballad of Hunger Sakes?
I mean, I guess...
I don't know. Just,
yeah. Teasers for upcoming episodes, haha.
Yep, that's what I wanted to say. We have stuff coming. Here's some ideas. Be hype. And with that, make sure you hit the bell. If there's a bell or something, to be notified when we do the things. Yep. I'm Dr. Zombrain.
I'm Junior Wolf, and we're going to go do other things now.
After chatting for an hour. Bye.
Probably. Bye!